Here is the Samsung Galaxy A23 and this is the Samsung Galaxy A22. The big questions here are which should you buy, which is better value for your money, and should you even consider this upgrade? I know you want to find out, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. For the 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage, the A22 here costs 117,000 naira, roughly $235, while the Samsung Galaxy A23 here costs $35 more for the same configuration, and that's 135,000 naira or $270. Now let's move over to the design and build quality of the smartphones. One factor you would immediately notice when you get a hold of the A23 here is the fact that it looks similar to the new lineup this year, like the A33, the 53 and the 73, and nothing like its predecessor, the A22 here. While you still retain the same plastic build and the smooth glossy finish at the rear, the buttons and I/O ports are all in the same position. You have the volume rocker and the power button to the right side of the smartphone, the fingerprint scanner, which is also the power button on here, a dual SIM tray with a dedicated micro SD card memory expansion slot to the left side. You get this audio jack, USB-C, the mouthpiece opening and down-firing speaker to the bottom of the smartphone, and the secondary microphone at the top side of these two smartphones. Aside being bigger in size, and that's for the A23 here, the rear camera design and placement makes a different statement. Both retain the same number of cameras at the rear, 4 for each of them. I'll touch on the cameras in a bit, but before we go ahead with the cameras and displays, the Samsung Galaxy A23 here features a Gorilla Glass 5 protection for the display, which makes it less susceptible to cracks and scratches like you would get on the Samsung Galaxy A22. Now, there isn't any IP rating for any of the smartphones, so don't go about dipping these devices in water. I don't know if anyone does that actually. You get about the same experience as far as unlocking the smartphones using the side-mounted fingerprint scanners on these devices. You might occasionally notice the slight edge in favor of the Samsung Galaxy A23 in this aspect, but I'll call this a tie in this category. Now, the displays. The display on the Samsung Galaxy A22 from last year was really amazing. In fact, the best I could recommend in its price range, but that's not the case when it comes to the Samsung Galaxy A23 this year. The Galaxy A22 features a 6.4-inch AMOLED display with up to 600 nits in brightness and a 720p resolution of display. Also refreshes at 90 Hz. This had content looking beautiful whenever I compared it with similarly priced devices. But for the Samsung Galaxy A23, Samsung decided to take things a notch lower as far as this display tech is concerned. You get a 6.6-inch TFT display, that's basically LCD, with the same 90 Hz refresh rate on the smartphone. But the only upgrade I can think of here would be the higher resolution of 1080p or Full HD you get from the Samsung Galaxy A23. But does this actually mean the Galaxy A23 comes with a bad display? The honest answer here is a capital no. In fact, I preferred the color temperature from the A23's TFT display. It has this true to life rendition of images, and I kept picking it almost every time based off looks. As far as displays, because of the benefits of an AMOLED display, you have this lower power consumption, better contrast ratio and the likes, you might go with the Samsung Galaxy A22, but personally this is good enough and has this better color accuracy if you ask me. Make of this information what you will and let me know in the comment section below which of these displays wins as far as your opinion is concerned. Also, while you're at that, come on, hit on that red subscribe button. Thanks, John. The units I have here for this comparison are both 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. You get the Helio G80 on the Samsung Galaxy A22, which is a 12nm chipset, and the more efficient Snapdragon 680 from the Samsung Galaxy A23, which is now a 6nm chipset. Both devices are 4G in terms of connectivity. As far as benchmark scores, the Galaxy A23 is definitely the device to pick. But even if you do not like to rely on benchmark scores for picking your better performing devices, I can assure you that the A23 is definitely better in terms of power efficiency, memory management, and better in terms of handling tasking gaming activities. There's just no way to spin this. The A23 is a significantly better performer in this comparison. When I say gaming, I tried playing PUBG on both devices, both of the smartphones, and I noticed the A23 got less jitters and lags as expected. I got to play PUBG at balanced graphics and medium frame rates for the A23, and this A22 here played the same game at HD graphics and high frame rates. While Samsung has promised us up to 3 years OS updates on these devices, note that the A22 came out of the box with Android 11 with One UI 3.1 also, while the Samsung Galaxy A23 comes out of the box with Android 12 and One UI 4.1. with this device. Now the Galaxy A22 is still on Android 11 with expected update for 12 around June this year. But you should also note that the A23 is more future-proof and would have updates more into the future than what you get from the Galaxy A22. Now let's talk about the cameras on these devices. You get for the Samsung Galaxy A23 a 50 megapixel main lens, 5 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro sensor. While the Samsung Galaxy A22 here gives you 48 megapixel main lens, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth sensor and a 2 megapixel macro lens. Like, this is significant when you compare these two smartphones. You get a more accurate white balance, better exposure handling and dynamic range, and this time Samsung actually did make the A23 following the steps of the big brother like the A53. You most times would notice that the photos from the Samsung Galaxy A22 here are more saturated in terms of the coloring, and this affects the white balance, making blacks look a little off the color they actually should look. And also this works best when there's the sky in the photo, making it more appealing than the photos you get from the Galaxy A23. But one thing that was consistent here is the details you get from the A23. More so, you get better coloring with the macro photos on the Samsung Galaxy A23. Videos on the A23 can be recorded at up to, and this maxes out at 1080p. The colors for the videos on the A22 are a little more vibrant and saturated, but it lacks in details what you get from the A22 in terms of the videos. I really don't think there is a lot to talk about when it comes to the cameras on these smartphones. The A23 is the definite winner in this category. You should expect about 5000 mAh battery from both devices. The Galaxy A23 would be faster to charge up if you have a 25-watt charger, since there is support for this one on here, unlike the 15-watt fast charge you'd get on the A22. Now, you wouldn't get a 25-watt charger out of the box with the A23, as you have 15-watt charger included in the box. If you need that extra speed, you'd have to go purchase a charger of that wattage, to juice this up using that speed. Battery on both of these devices are quite impressive. While I have used the Samsung A23 for about a week now, I do not think there's that much a difference, like by a mile, in terms of how these devices endure power usage on a regular use. I got almost the same experience so far and only had to charge these devices over the night in both situations. Yes, the Samsung Galaxy A23 is the better device to own, and the only downside being the downgrade from AMOLED to TFT LCD on this display, which means a less power efficient display and less contrast ratio on this display. Otherwise, this is definitely worth the extra $35 or 18,000 naira. But now let's say you already own the Samsung Galaxy A22. Should you upgrade to the 23? I would say if only you must. I wouldn't endorse swapping smartphones every year, but if that's what keeps your sanity in check, then go ahead. The Samsung Galaxy A22 was and still is an amazing budget smartphone to own right now. You get good value for what it offers, and you can check out my review on the A23 here. Call it that day.